Bluff City Media presents Tigers Live with Francis Carlota. Join Francis after every Memphis Tiger game as he breaks down each matchup, player of the game, and upcoming games. Now, let's get to the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Tigers Live. I'm your host, Francis Carlotta, host of Tigers Live for Bluff City Media, coming at y'all after the Memphis Tigers survive another nail-biting win against Tulane. Let's pull up the ticker, 78-77. Y'all. Oh, my goodness. PJ Haggerty, y'all. We're going to be talking a lot about him, a lot about this performance from the Memphis Tigers, and a lot about looking forward as well. I'll be joined by Roman Cleary, as always, the beat writer for Tigers Live. He's at Dickies Arena. I see that he's in the studio. And then after Roman has to go do his press conference duties, I'll be joined by Gabe Kuhn, host of On the Bluff and host of just a lot of things. 92.9, he's the man. Gabe Kuhn's the man. He's going to join me after the commercial break. But I see that Roman's here, so let me go ahead and add him. Roman, what's going on?
Whew, that was you're right, Francis. That was another close one, another nail biter for sure. But Memphis does escape 78-77, as you mentioned at the top. They will advance to the American Athletic Conference Tournament Championship game for the third time in 4 seasons against either UAB or North Texas. Now, Memphis can get away with this against Wichita State. They can get away with it against Tulane. But I can assure you they will not get away with this tomorrow. They have to play much better.
I can't echo that anymore. You're absolutely right. Not even just do they have to play better, the injuries too, which I'm sure you're going to get more information when you talk to Penny, when you talk to the players. You know, the big question mark is Tyrese Hunter. From your perspective, Roman, it was an ankle thing, right? From what you heard?
Yeah. You see, when I initially saw him getting getting pulled off the court and leaving to go to the locker room, I saw him grabbing at the right knee a little bit. That we've been talking about throughout the entire season. That's the injury he's been dealing with throughout the year. But then I reached out to a Memphis spokesperson, and he told me that it was actually an apparent foot injury. He dinged his foot. Quote, dinged his foot is exactly the text that I got. So, and Hunter returned in a walking boot towards the end of the game. So apparently this is a foot injury that Tyrese is dealing with, in the knee. Maybe the knee is part of that too. Again, we're not 100% sure. All I know is that he apparently, quote, dinged his foot and could not return today.
Yeah, it definitely didn't look good. I hope for the best for Tyrese. Obviously, I hope he's okay. I hope it's nothing serious. But I'm sure, Roman, you'll do a great job getting the information necessary to tell the people what's really going on with Tyrese. So, I don't want to speculate too much. I don't want to do that. So let's just see what the word is, and then you'll obviously do your job and let us know. But with whatever injury there is to Tyrese, if he can't go tomorrow, that's a big blow for the Tigers, obviously. Being thin with no Dante Harris. If you lose Tyrese Hunter...
I'm going to call it right now. If he can't go tomorrow, they're not going to win.
It's definitely going to be an uphill battle. That's for damn sure. If they have no Tyrese Hunter, it'll be a very uphill battle just because of how important he is to the team as the floor general. All the little things that Tyrese does in both sides of the floor. It's going to be tough. But also at the same time, if he is remotely hurt, I'm not against sitting him just because we need him for the NCAA tournament. He's got to be healthy for that. So I don't want to dwell too much on it. We'll wait to see what the official word is. But Roman, talk to me about this game, about your thoughts on the Memphis performance overall.
I thought it was a game of a lot of missed opportunities. It was kind of a similar story to what we saw yesterday, to a lesser degree, obviously, because no one scored 40-plus points. But it was similar in the sense that Dane kind of took PJ Haggerty's role from yesterday, where Dane was the guy that was getting all the buckets. He was getting the easy offense. He was essentially able to, get whatever kind of points he wanted out there. But everyone else was falling short a little bit. And when you just can't get that at least get that second guy behind your primary scorer to contribute in a consistent manner, you're just going to find it extremely difficult to pull away and win games, regardless of what the competition is. Again, Dane finished with a monster stat line, but where's the other guy following behind him? I know PJ finished with 17, 18 points, something like that, but much of that came from the end of game free throw shooting. He really wasn't that effective throughout the game. Colby Rogers, again, not super effective. He was better than he was yesterday. Obviously, it's not that hard to do that. But again, he wasn't there. Nick Jourdain wasn't there. You name him, he had an off game, unless his name is Dane Danger. Danger, again, like a 22-point, 10-rebound, double-double, I believe, was his final tally. I'd have to go back and check. But again, you have to have more than just one person generating offense in Division I college basketball. It's just the truth. Memphis's talent is really, really carrying it right now here in Fort Worth. And also, this was a game of real missed opportunity. Lots of missed three-pointers, a ton of missed free throws, like 15 or 16, something like that. They left a lot of points at the three-point line, a lot of points at the charity stripe. And those things, especially the first half, really prevented Memphis from pulling away here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Very well said. I want to bring up some of the comments before I touch on what you were mentioning there, Roman. King Mick said, "Why my blood pressure up again?" Man, I don't know. This is just what they do. My blood pressure is up.
Oh, Francis, you got to fix your mic.
Oh, mic issues. Is it better after I talk for like
you're back. You're back now.
2 seconds? Goodness gracious. Anyway, goodness gracious. Anywho, yeah, I don't know, man. Blood pressure up, mine too. I'm with you. And you said he also said you don't have hair, and they're going to make you grow it out and cut it back off. Yeah, it's one of those hair pull out type games. I'm with you, man. But also, obviously, want to shout out to Anthony saying here, my guy, the Roman Emperor. We all love you, Roman. We all do. You're the man, always. So I do want to touch on what you said. Yeah, it was like the inverse of Dane and PJ's game, where Dane was the guy and PJ was kind of like the supporting act to Dane, whereas yesterday PJ was the guy and Dane was like the supporting act to PJ. But then it's the same thing with the rest of the roster. You mentioned Colby Rogers, 1 for 7 from 3. I tweeted out very early on that Colby's vital today, because with the way Tulane plays its zone, that corner 3 is going to be open all day long. And Colby had looks after looks after looks and just didn't make them. It's just, though, you just need him to hit open threes on a somewhat consistent basis. And if he does that, as we all know, Memphis is really hard to beat, but he couldn't do it. PJ Carter, he hit 3 threes today, so that's good from PJ Carter. He had a solid game, 9 points. I thought Musa had a good game today. 10 points, 11 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks. I thought his energy was good, especially on the defensive side. So, there's that, but I'm fully with you. They have to do the team has to do a better job of supporting the star players of the Tigers. We know who they are, Dane and PJ. And if the Tigers can get better contributions from top to bottom, obviously they wouldn't be in this situation. But the missed opportunities as well, free throw line, 3-point shots, I'm fully with you. Those were tough. Absolutely. What did you see from Tulane that was making things difficult for PJ Haggerty today?
They really were throwing out all the stops to stop him, if you will. They saw what he did yesterday, and Tulane did a good job of containing PJ Haggerty in the first matchup. If you remember, he held.
Yes.
He scored only 8 points in that game, and that was a season low for him. In fact, that was the only time for this entire season that PJ Haggerty scored under double-figure points. So Tulane has clearly figured out some kind of formula to stop Haggerty. Now, they've done that at the detriment of defending other areas of the court and defending other players. But still, if you can contain PJ Haggerty, if you can keep that point total low for long enough, you're going to give yourself a chance to win the game. And that's exactly what the Green Wave did, what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. The defense from Tulane, it was pretty clear that they were basically building a wall, similar to how NBA teams build walls against Giannis, right? Or against like LeBron. They'll just build walls to stop them going downhill, and they'll show PJ a bunch of dudes on the perimeter and a lot of hands when PJ tries to go downhill. And that's what Tulane did. They built a wall to stop PJ Haggerty. Whenever PJ was somehow on some form of isolated island, they would send a double at him immediately to get the ball out of his hands. This was, like you said, a clear game plan from Tulane to stop PJ Haggerty that they've executed well in the past, and they executed again today. But I still gotta praise him, because though he had an off game, that play on the defensive end to force the steal, and then his clutch free throws down the stretch. I mean, this is why he's still the player of the year, right, Roman?
Yeah, that stuff is a chef's kiss, right? Just stealing the ball, taking it away from Rowan Brumbaugh, literally on the floor, just fighting over it and winning that, and then getting the timeout off. That is just pro level stuff right there. Then just clinching the the free throws towards the end of the game. It is funny how free throws ended up being the very thing that won this game for Memphis after it was the thing that mostly held it back for the majority of the day. But that's just how poetic basketball can be.
Yeah, that's a really good shout. But PJ Haggerty was 14 for 14 from the line. And so you look up, and though he's only 2 for 13 from the floor, he finishes with 18 points. So you're like, oh, PJ had 18. Like kind of an off game for PJ, but it's 18 points. Then you just look at his box score, it's like, oh my God, it was all from the line.
Yeah, all from the line.
All from the line, because he just did a great job of staying aggressive. They mentioned it on the broadcast, Roman, that Dane Bradshaw was applauding PJ for his mental fortitude. Of course, he's not hitting his shots, but he's not going to let that get into his head. He's going to stay aggressive, keep attacking, keep getting to the foul line, and finding ways to impact winning. I've said it a million times. If your shot's not falling, I don't care. Find other ways to impact winning basketball. And that's a game PJ Haggerty had today. He still found ways to impact winning ball. Let's talk about Dane Danger, Roman. 23 points, 11 boards, 2 steals, 1 block, 10 for 15 from the floor. Yeah, he couldn't hit free throws, but, talk to me about Dane's game today against Tulane's defense.
Yeah, well, Tulane is a particularly good matchup for Dane because they don't have the athleticism or the size and the bigs to really, contain his skill set. So Dane can get all the offensive rebounds he wants, all the easy looks at the rim he wants. He's just able to take advantage of something that Tulane currently doesn't have on its roster. So it wasn't hard to imagine Dane having a good game today because, one, he did it last time, 19 points and 10 rebounds in New Orleans earlier this season, and he was even better against Tulane today. Yeah,
very well said. The matchup was much more positive for Dane and much more negative for PJ. Kind of the opposite of what it was for Wichita State. The matchup was better for PJ and worse for Dane. You literally saw the reverse today. So I'll ask you: who's your player of the game? Is it Dane or PJ?
Yeah, it's got to be Dane Danger because without his offense really helping Memphis keep up with the track meet that was most of this game, especially in the second half, you don't win it here. So I think Dane was too invaluable to not say he was the player of the game.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely was Dane Danger. Though he couldn't hit free throws, he still continued to attack his mismatches. He got some huge and ones down the stretch to keep Memphis ahead of Tulane when Tulane was trying to get momentum, when it looked like Tulane was going to get momentum. Yeah, Dane was just a man amongst boys. I got to give it to him as well. We already shouted out PJ, and I'm sure I'll talk more about PJ with Gabe when he's on in a moment. But yeah, PJ was great, but I think today you have to give it to Dane Danger. He was just so damn good, so important for this team. So looking forward tomorrow to the AAC championship game, Roman. I know you've already said that if Tyrese doesn't play, you don't think the Tigers can pull it out. Do you have a preference on who the Tigers face if there's no Tyrese Hunter or no?
I mean, I guess for Memphis, UAB because they're worse defensively, but that just is what it is. I am being signaled that I have to leave here. So
okay,
yeah,
all right,
okay,
all good,
all right,
all good. Do your thing. Appreciate you, Rowan.
All right, I'll see you.
All right, man. Cool. All right, that's Roman Cleary at the Diggies Arena. He is there covering the AAC tournament for Bluff City Media, so that's why he's got to go. He's got to go do his thing, go to the press conference. I'm really, really nervous about that Tyrese Hunter injury. Coach Kelly, I see you in the chat as you always are. You put something out on Twitter that scares me, and I'm not going to say what it is because I don't want to put that into the ether. But I really hope he's all right because he is so important to this team, to the Memphis Tigers. I mean, it's hard to understate his importance to the team. So I will send this to a commercial break. Gabe Kuhn is here. And on the other side, you do not want to miss it. Give me 1 second. All right, we'll see y'all on the other side.
On what planet do you look at a 25-year-old basketball player who resume says two-time All-Star, two-time All-NBA defensive team. He's got that twice. He'll have that twice. He'll make that this year. Two-time defensive player of the year. or all NBA. And that could be all of those. It could be he could be defensive player of the year and all NBA, right? At what point do you look at a player who that's his resume and question anything about what you're about to pay him, who's 25 and you know he's going to get better on that contract?
Do you know what the narrative about the Memphis Grizzlies would be if they didn't sign Jaren Jackson Jr. to this contract?
We are farm league. That we
are
poverty
ass
Yep.
franchise.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Then there's going to be all this talks about how can we get Ja out of there? How can we get Jaren out of there? Like,
And also,
man.
but also, if they don't offer him the Supermax, when Ja Morant time come up, what he gonna think about?
Yeah,
Y'all
we're
need
looking
Jaren
broke, man. We're
Supermax.
looking broke as
Okay.
hell.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Is this a moment potentially that could change the mojo of this team?
Could, yes. Could it be? Yes. It's hard to say with, they've had what felt like sparks throughout the season, and they haven't really tended to carry over. But the main thing is, can it spark Ja Morant?
Right.
That's it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the biggest thing.
it's the only thing. It's the only thing this team is missing. For this team to be the best that it can be, you're really just missing a locked in, engaged, full throttle Ja Morant.
The way he can control the basketball and control the game will be how the Grizzlies go. If he can control the ball and he can do it like that on a consistent basis, and just getting into the middle of the defense, that will be where this team succeeds the most. So we'll see.
Tune in to the Grizz 901 postgame show, live after every Grizzlies game on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Tigers Live. I'm Francis Carlotta, and I'm joined by the man, Gabe Kuhn. Gabe, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm hanging in there. What's happening, Francis? You good?
Man, hanging in there is the best way to put it.
Yes, sir. I hear you.
I'm hanging in there too, especially after that game. Watching that just nail biting, blood boiling. I was saying earlier, when I get nervous, I get chills. Like I just get really cold. And right now, I am cold. I was so nervous throughout that game. So, Gabe, give me your thoughts on that performance for the Memphis Tigers, and also what you saw from them down the stretch as well.
Obviously, Dane just shout out, well done. Except for from the free throw line, brother, 3 for 13 ain't gonna cut it. I'm sorry. I know he's got that like line drive free throw, and I don't think we have a whole bunch of confidence in it. But 3 for 13 is way below his season average. I expect that to return back to the mean to a certain extent. But to be honest with you guys, I heard you in the first segment sort of explain it as missed opportunities, and I think the free throws fall into that. The Tigers, since they've gotten to Fort Worth, are shooting a torrid 8 for 38 from 3, 21%. I expect that to get back to the mean. To be honest with you, like both of these games have been close, but I'm not in any way pushing some type of panic alarm or upset with the way this team is played. They just have to knock down their open looks. PJ Haggerty today, 2 for 13 from the field, had a bunch of looks like he got yesterday in the mid-range, just didn't fall. Colby Rogers couldn't hit anything from the three-point line, neither could PJ Haggerty. Like, I think this team is very, very close to being able to run away with a couple of these games. They just got to knock down a few more shots. I think it's that simple. I have not had an issue with how they've played. It's just been very, very close.
No, I think that's a great point. It's that has kind of been the theme for these games when they are close. And I've talked about it on Twitter, talked about it before, that when the games are close, Memphis they're just not hitting their open shots. They get good looks. The plays that Penny Hardaway calls, they generate open looks, especially on the perimeter. And if Memphis doesn't knock them down, it allows other teams to get excited, to feel like they're still in this game and they can fight and battle with Memphis. And then when you see the second half of those games in the conference and Memphis ends up winning by 10, winning by 12, or hell, winning by 7, whatever, it's because they actually hit more of their open looks. Because they were getting the same shots. They just weren't hitting them. Today, kind of the same thing, like you said, good looks. They just didn't go down.
To be honest with you, it was kind of a double-edged sword today because you wasted a lot of opportunities, but you gained a lot of opportunities back when you had Musa Cisse and Dane Danger on the floor with that 2 big lineup pretty consistently. 22-9 on the offensive boards. Yes. Everything that came off of the rim on the offensive glass, Musa Cisse or Dane had a chance to go get. So they did miss some opportunities, some looks that they usually knock down, but they were able to gain them back. And this is sort of where I want to go with this. I really am still bullish about this team and what they're able to offer by the time we get to the NCAA tournament. I know they have a couple more games in the AAC tournament. No Tyrese Hunter potentially going forward. We'll see what the news is there. The AAC tournament is the AAC tournament. You made it to Sunday. I don't know how much more a win on Sunday would matter. But the reason I'm bullish on this team in regards to an NCAA tournament setting is they are multiple, man. They really are. It's like, when you watch, football and you have so many different pieces of personnel on the defensive side of the ball, you're able to run a 4-3. Then you can run bear. Then on third down, you can run a split front. This team has the ability to run out 4 guards in certain situations. This team has the ability to run out their 2 massive bigs. With Musa Cisse and Dane Danger. That high-low game, so long as Musa Cisse catches the ball, is really damn fun. Like that lob from Dane to Musa, really, that was great. And there was a lot of opportunities for that today. That's why Penny played that lineup so much. And then obviously they have their traditional look, which is what they put out there in the starting lineup. 3 guards, your tweener power forward and Nick Jourdain, and then Dane or Musa. So I just think this team is so multiple. They have so many different things that they can run. That's why I'm bullish on them still, even though they've played a couple of close games against inferior competition.
No, I think those are all great points. I've said this before that I think what makes the Tigers offense so dangerous at its peak is that they can score on all 3 levels. They have the 3-point shooting. They have the guys who can hit mid-range jump shots, and they got the bigs down low. Dane can finish on any block with any hand at any time of day.
It honestly is kind of ridiculous.
It's crazy. He's insane. I think Cisse is a great lob threat, and you need lob threats as a little bit of a pressure release valve to offense.
Yep.
My favorite phrases to say. And Cisse is a really legit lob threat. That high-low, like you said today, Gabe, it's a great shout because I was going to bring up that this was the best that their high-low has looked all year. Granted, it was Tulane, and they don't have the bigs to match up with what Memphis has, but they seem to be on the same wavelength more so than they ever have been, especially as evidenced by that high-low alley-oop from Dane to Cisse, which got all of us excited. Got feeling good. So no, I'm with you. I agree with you that I'm not worried at all. I don't think Tigers fans should be super worried either about these 2 games. Come into NCAA tournament time, I still have full confidence that they'll be able to make the second weekend and make a Sweet 16 and go from there.
And also, here's a bit of a good sign. PJ Haggerty didn't have it from the field today. He was 0 for 4 from 3, 2 for 13 from the field, but he got to the free throw line consistently, 14 for 14 from there. And then at the end of the game, when it was a necessity for him to really lock down on defense against Rowan Brumbaugh, here he is, getting the knock away, getting the steal, pulling the ball away from him, giving the extra effort. You need that from your sort of player leaders. You need that from guys that are usually used to scoring at a way higher level. He didn't get frustrated. He just pulled the chain harder on the defensive end. That's a good thing. And this team, let's be honest, does close relatively well. There's been a couple of lapses this year in general, but more often than not, they close.
Yeah, absolutely. The Wichita State game is the only one that at Wichita State where they lost is the only close game that I can think of where Memphis kind of crapped the bed and they pissed away a win that they should have had. Yeah, obviously, as we know, Memphis has had way too many close calls than they should in the American Athletic Conference, but they still should get credit for pulling out with wins in those close games because it takes a lot of mental fortitude, a lot of mental toughness to be able to win those close games. And time again, the Tigers have found ways to win these close games. I don't know if you remember this on the broadcast. There was, I think it was the under 4 media timeout, and the sideline reporter was talking about what she heard from the
shout out Alyssa Lang, by the way.
Shout out Alyssa Lang.
Great person.
So, yes, absolutely. And she was seeing what she heard from Ron Hunter, and Ron Hunter was like, "This is our time." He gave this like really impassioned speech, and he lost his voice. Like, we know how bad Ron Hunter wants to beat Memphis. We know that. But no matter what impassioned speech you can give, coach, your players are the ones on the floor, and the Memphis Tigers got more talent, and they found a way to close this game out. Like the talent did prevail.
Ron Hunter really he enjoys competing against Penny. I don't think there's any question about it. Obviously, yesterday he talked about I'm gonna wear my foams, I'm gonna wear my pennies to the game. He didn't do that, but then I don't know if you saw it out of halftime. Like it was 39-32. They had the 7-0 run to tie the game up, and he's over there just losing his mind, flexing, stepping around like it means something to him. So, to win a game like that, no matter what the national view of a team like Tulane is, we know that they're very capable, that Rowan Brumbaugh, Greg Glenn, they're good players, that Ron Hunter's a good coach. And they really wanted that game. They were fighting for their NCAA tournament lives for their season. So, to win a game like that and not play your best ball, I'll just chalk it up as a positive.
Absolutely. I'll chalk this up as a positive too. Chicken Unicorn gifting 10 Select City Media memberships.
Thank you, Chicken Unicorn. Appreciate
Shout
it.
out always. You're always the go to giving out those memberships. Much appreciated. Much love to you as well. So gotta shout that out. No, it's this, like you hit the nail on the head. For Memphis to still win this game, not playing their best ball. Again, y'all, like this is just a damn good team. Like I said this yesterday with Matt Infield. I don't think this team has the talent to win the national championship. I'm not going to say that, but they're really good. Like they're just really good. They have all the ability to make a run in March, and depending on matchups, to really make some noise. Like this is just a really good team. And so Memphis right now, looking ahead, they're now in the final of the American Athletic Championship or American Athletic Conference Tournament. They're in the championship game. Gabe, I've talked about this before, and I'll ask you because I haven't talked to you about this. If I told you that this is where the Tigers would be at the start of the season, with all the staff turnover, with all the roster changes, with Tyreek Smith being dismissed from the squad, how would you be surprised?
Absolutely.
I'd say
there's no chance. There's no chance. Because when all of those changes were being made, they were on the eve of the season. And it's really hard to come together as quickly as they have and to cut out all the drama when you had so much drama in such a short period of time. There's just a lot of things that had to go right. A lot of things that these guys had to get on the same page about very quickly. And let's be honest, if this is any program in the country that did what Memphis did this offseason, I'd be saying the exact same thing. There's just no way they're as well placed as they are right this second. We're talking about a 28-5 team going to their American Athletic Conference, their tournament championship. They already won the regular season title. So I would be absolutely blown away if you told me that this is how it would end. But also, as time has changed and things have changed, I think the big conversation everybody wants to have at this point is what's going to happen in these next couple of days. What's going to happen tomorrow when we get to the selection show? What is that going to look like, man? Because now I think we're so far into this thing that we're maybe on the precipice of a potential disappointment when it comes to seed line and where they're actually going to be placed. I'm curious how it works. I will say, off top, I really hope they get into a region close to them. So like my two, I'd say Lexington or Wichita. Right. So we can get some fans out there, go enjoy themselves. Obviously I want them out of the 8-9 line, but I really am focused right now on where they're going to be placed. Cause I'm getting ready for all of the nonsense when it comes to the selection committee, looking at their advanced metrics and placing them based on those.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think all of us Tigers fans, all of us who care about this team, I think we've all just braced for impact. Like that's all we've done right now. We're ready to be hit hard by the selection committee, giving us an 8 seed, or hell, if they could give us a 9 seed and just say, screw you.
I really hope 9's not on the table. 8 seems somewhat on the table. Although I did hear Joe Lenardi talk about his 8 seed. He said if they able to get to Sunday, we could get to a 7 or a 6. I have stood on this for a while, Francis. I think the most likely outcome is a 7. If they win tomorrow, I could see them as the last 6. But it is crazy. After that Wichita State loss, when they rattled off a few wins, we were talking about aspiration as a 5. They have done nothing but win since then, and now the aspiration's a 6. It doesn't compute in my head. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, it makes no sense at all. And I've heard you talk about it on the Bluff podcast with you and Christian and Kenny. Y'all talk about that ad nauseum, and it's like there needs to be a middle ground between using the metrics and then just using your brain, your actual brain.
Look at
and
the resume metrics, please.
Look at the resume. Watch him play basketball.
I think I've come to the realization that in the end of the day, like RPI is defunct for a reason. But what RPI did was took your resume at face value for the most part, and your strength of schedule and your strength of record. That's what RPI was. And Memphis is 9 in the RPI. Now, I will say I don't think Memphis is the 9th best team in the country, right? They may have the 9th best resume, but I think to balance out what the Net, KenPom, Bart Torvik do for the selection committee, you need to have other resume metrics. Maybe Evan Miyakawa at evanmia.com, something like that, where they're top 15, in resume. But you need to be able to balance these things out. It can't just be what you predict they're going to do, because there's been this prediction all year. I don't know if you've felt this way, but this is how I feel. Especially like Bart Torvik, which is the most predictive of predictive metrics. It feels like Bart Torvik's been predicting a fall off for Memphis that hasn't come all year. Yet that's going to be taken into consideration by the time they actually get to Selection Sunday. Don't give me that. I think that's nonsense. I think it's stupid. I don't last year, Bart Torvik, when I said the same thing, I was wrong. They did fall off of the map. Even when even when they were getting out of non-con with all those good wins, and we were riding high. We're like, why does Bart Torvik's number look like this? This year, he kept them around the same spot, and the prediction that they're going to fall off hasn't come. So why does that prediction, if you will, have to hold weight on Selection Sunday? I don't get it.
No, I'm with you. And we'll see what happens, man. I will see what happens. So I might as well ask you now, because we're talking about it. So I was going to ask you later, but I'll ask you now. So, Gabe Kuhn, you're officially now the head coach of the Memphis Tigers men's basketball team. Congratulations. You've done it. Yep. You're now coaching this team. It is now your job to plead to the Selection Sunday committee why Memphis should be around a 6 or hell even a 5 in come Selection Sunday. So what would be your plea to the committee as to why Memphis should be a top 5 seed in that NCAA tournament?
Listen, the truth of the matter is, we have 3 quad 3 losses. I understand that. But you're not going to find a team, especially in the same realm as us, in that mid-major conference. You could compare us to like Gonzaga or St. Mary's, something like that. But 6-1 in the quad 1, all of the good work that was done, back at the beginning of the season shouldn't be null and void just because months have passed. Why do I schedule those games if you're not going to count them by the time we get to the end of the season? You're not giving me a whole bunch of reason to schedule good in the non-con if you're not going to weight those games even as by the time we get to March. But like when you just look at it, the Mizzou win, huge. There's a top 15 team for most of the year. The UConn win, good. That's a tournament team. Michigan State win, that could be a 2 seed for God's sakes. Like, what are we talking about? And they beat them by 8 on a neutral floor. And people will try to do Michigan State, They haven't been the same team since they lost to Memphis. Well, they went on a 2-month. It was a 2-month streak of no losses, just straight wins. You're telling me they magically had this one lapse and then they just turned into an absolute juggernaut? They were probably still the same team, but Memphis did some things to nullify what they do well. The Clemson win, huge. You just keep going down the list. Ole Miss, that's going to be a 5 seed for God's sakes, and they beat them by 17. This team gets up for the biggest games. They are game time performers. You have a guy it's going to be a Jerry West finalist or Jerry West Award winner for the best shooting guard in the country. AAC Player of the Year, could be a consensus All-American. We check all the boxes when it comes to getting the best seed, getting some preferential treatment. So go ahead and give it to us. That's what I would say. Oh. Stop looking at all. Don't look at my 3 quad 3 losses. Look at my 6 quad 1 wins.
There you go. Timo said 2 Q3 losses, so it's even better than 3. 2.
Yeah. So I guess 1 move to quad 2 at this point.
I think so. Yeah. No, that was beautiful, Gabe. The only thing that was missing was a church choir in the background. Somebody putting a robe over you after you gave your speech. That's the only thing we missed. That's it. Otherwise, I'm with you, man. I'm absolutely with you.
Can I ask this question? And sorry to cut you off.
No, it's good.
If you flipped, like honestly, I'm asking this to the chat, to you, Francis, to anybody who's hearing my voice. If you flipped the conference and the non-conference season, those portions of the schedule, same results, what would their seed be then? Seriously,
like a four seed,
4
probably,
maybe the last 3. If they had beaten Michigan State and Mizzou and UConn and Ole Miss and Clemson at the end of the season, we would be talking about this team in a completely different light. And I know that we live in a "what have you done for me lately" sports society, but Memphis can only do what they can do. They scheduled as good as possible. They won the games. Give them their damn props for it, regardless of if it happened in November or February. I don't care. If they won the games, they won the games.
Yep, absolutely. I've said this before. I said this yesterday on Tigers Live too. If you're Memphis and the worst case scenario of them getting an 8 seed happens, if I'm Penny Hardaway, I'm gonna be in my chair seeing the seed come up, and I'm gonna think to myself, what else could I have done differently to get a better seed than an 8 in the NCAA tournament? What could I have done? Because this is what you have to do if you're a mid-major team playing in a conference like the American Athletic Conference. You have to schedule elitely in the non-conference, and then you have to win your conference regular season title handily, which they did, and then they have to we'll see what happens tomorrow. But
sure,
even then, even if they do lose tomorrow, whether that game matters or not, whatever. But what else is Penny supposed to do? He scheduled the second hardest non-conference schedule in the country, in the whole country. And he came out of that looking like an amazing team, looking like a team that can hang with anybody in the country. Right. And we've known that. And the conference, whatever, a lot of close wins, a lot of close games that shouldn't have been that way. They got to remember, you're getting the best team, the best performance from these teams every night they play Memphis. You're getting their best shot every single time.
Is it not a bit of a misnomer though to say, oh, they played all these close games? Like what was it? A 28 point win on the road at FAU.
Yeah, sure.
You beat UAB at home by 23. On the road against a team that was 12-6 in conference that you just beat by 1 today. You beat Tulane on the road by 12. You beat South Florida by 15 and 16. You beat Rice by 12. You beat FAU a second time by 19. Like, I don't even have the average margin of victory in front of me, but I would venture to bet it's probably over 10 points that they're beating every team in conference by if you average it all together. Like, to me, I don't think they have played as many close games as people act like they do. And sometimes you have to pull out close games. I think this conference, while the teams stink, when you just look at their metrics and everything else, like I think player to player, pretty damn good. And I would tell you to look to last year. Like, think about all the guys from last year's American Athletic Conference that transferred out to big schools that are making an impact. I know Kaysen Pryor only played the first 7 games or whatever for Louisville, and he's been hurt. Sion James is a starter at Duke. Aaron Scott, starter and a top 3 scorer at St. John's, who's going to be a 2 seed. You just look around the country, and it's clear that at least player to player, this conference doesn't get as much, it doesn't get the love it deserves in regards to the talent that actually is team to team.
For sure. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think your point too about the Memphis's actual margin of victory is a very valid point. It's the metrics that predict that they should win by 18. They should win by 20. And then Memphis only wins by 12, which means that they have to drop 3 spots in the net because that happens. It's just a weird, unfortunate catch-22 that Memphis faces playing in the American Athletic Conference. They've done everything they can do to position themselves for a top 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. Everything reasonably possible. The only other thing they could have done is literally win every single game in the conference, which is really damn hard. That's just really, really difficult. I think, Wichita State did it when they had Ron Baker and Fred Van Vliet.
It was Fred Van Vliet.
They went undefeated in the conference. I don't think they lost a game all year. I might be wrong about that.
That was the old Missouri Valley. And
Yeah,
I think Creighton had left by then, so it was a little lesser. So they were like the best competition they had then would be like Northern Iowa.
yeah, something like that. But it's just hard, man, to win every game in your conference.
And didn't they only lose 2 games that year or something like that? That Wichita State team, Final Four team.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. What
like even I look back at it, and even Houston lost games in this conference. It's not like like they lost to ECU on the road randomly as a top 5 team. It just happens. It happens when teams have film on you. When it's a big game, the only ranked opponent that's going to be in your place all year. Sometimes it's just different. It's harder.
Look, you play for Memphis. You know what it's like to play teams in your conference. Nobody knows you better than teams in your conference.
Yeah,
you see them all the time. And personnel changes, the roster changes, player, whatever. But most things stay the same. You know what other teams are going to do. You know what their DNA is about. And it's the same thing for Penny. When all these coaches, they know Penny. At least they think they know Penny, at least up to this point. But Penny's kind of shown that he's a different guy now. He's done a great job this year with the Memphis Tigers. I know you said earlier, Gabe, that you would not have expected Memphis to be at this position. Early on the year when Memphis was going through all that turmoil, you've talked about it before, but I would love to hear your thoughts again. What is the biggest difference for you from Penny Hardaway last season, Penny Hardaway now? What's the biggest difference?
I think there's 2 things. One, he has cut out the drama completely. And I think both these things kind of go hand in hand, and you'll hear in a second. But he's cut out the drama. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Jordan Brown in and out of the lineup, on and off the team. They bring him back. It's a staff decision. The players didn't want it. You have the internal strife, and then we get surprised after the South Florida game when he says, I can't play certain lineups because these guys don't like each other. Well, you sort of have told us that Jordan Brown, the team didn't want him to come back. You're making decisions on their behalf. But I also think the other part of this is he's done more studying in the offseason when it comes to what type of character do I want to bring into the building? And listen, I'm a bit frustrated that Penny finally learned that this year. That hey, let me go check the reference page. If I'm hiring someone if I'm hiring someone at my job,
period.
I am not going to just let the reference page die and throw it in the trash. I'm calling everybody on there, because what if those people are like, oh God, he's the worst. You don't want to be around him. He sucks. He's he's not a team player, doesn't do anything the right way, smokes a bunch of pot, all these different things. I would look at the reference page, and Penny finally said this season, he looked at the reference page, called multiple coaches of all these different players that he brought in, and got the checklist items out there figured out. Is he a team player? Can I rely on him? Is he going to get mad if he doesn't get playing time? Do I have to give him pity minutes? If I do have to give him pity minutes, I don't want him on the team. So I think those things go hand in hand, cutting out drama and figuring out who you want to recruit character-wise. But I think those are the biggest differences, man. Because I look at, in the past, a guy like Barako Koji, right? Comes over from George Mason and probably wanted to be a pretty high rotational player, 15, 20 minutes a game, potentially be a starter. He probably could have been a starter elsewhere if he transferred, sort of laterally from George Mason. But he comes here, and sometimes he gets DNPs. Sometimes he plays 20 minutes a game. But he gives you the same effort every single night, and you haven't heard word one about him complaining. He's not worried about it.
And really quickly, they bring in a midseason transfer that took minutes away from him.
Right, but you don't hear word one from these guys. There's not a bunch of complaining and dysfunction as there has been in the past. And that goes to checking your references, checking your sourcing on the recruiting trail, and figuring out, okay, is this guy actually going to be a good fit for my team from a character standpoint? Because last year, let's be honest, from a talent standpoint, probably similar talent. PJ Haggerty outdoes anything they had on the team last year. Don't get it twisted. But similar level of talent, but this talent just gels better. They enjoy being around each other more clearly. They're not as miserable as that team was last year.
Yeah.
They have a guy in Tyrese Hunter who clearly is like the player leader of all player leaders, just leads guys in the right direction. He's been in the tournament before, been at a couple of good programs in Iowa State and Texas. So that's what I feel like. That's what I just feel like this team and Penny, they've learned to cut out the drama and, get in where they fit in, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, very well said. King Mix said here, Penny year one is totally different. Penny in 2025, he's a better coach that has grown.
Oh, God, yeah.
And absolutely. And it's he has really matured as a coach in high-level Division I college basketball. I said it last show with Matt Infield that, when he came in as the head coach, he was all, I want all the smoke. He just thought that him being this basketball savant that we already know he is, he thought that alone could carry championships to Memphis, parades and everything. And he was wrong. He realized that he was just straight up wrong. And he had to look at himself in the mirror and figure out, how do I improve as a coach? And how do I help this team win? Like, how do I do that? And he's, like you said, Gabe, he's done a much better job of making sure character is first, the priority. Getting good character inside those doors, whether it's on the coaching staff or on the players, that was his priority. And I think that's awesome. And I think moving forward too, I'm expecting the same mentality from Penny moving forward. That I think he's looked at this team, he's looked at the success that this team has had so far, and he's realized that, all right, this is the roadmap. This is the recipe to have a winning team here at the University of Memphis. And I have full faith that he's going to be able to continue this level throughout. I want to bring this up too. Ramon said they bought in.
Yep.
And the players, 1,000%, like you said, Gabe, have fully bought in to their roles. Go ahead, please.
Bear with me here. And this is going to sound like a shot at Penny, and it's not, because he has learned and he has changed things around. I felt like the first 6 years of Penny Hardaway, there was nothing to buy into necessarily. He didn't really have non-negotiables. It was, okay, let me get the best talent. Let's run out this talent. Let's out-talent everybody. This year, it feels like there's a set of, culture building. There's foundation that he is putting this program on for sustainability into the future. We have non-negotiables. You're going to abide by them, or you're going to leave. I'll kick you off. I'll let you leave, just like I left Tyreek Smith. Let Tyreek Smith leave. So
yeah,
that's an interesting way to put it. Yes, they bought in, but previous teams, I do question what was there to buy into. Yeah. I don't think Penny was running the most clean, culture-based program. I think that has changed completely this year.
I think it's a great take, man, for real. I think it makes a lot of sense. And I also believe Penny would agree with you. I really think that, because I think he's at a point mentally, spiritually, health-wise, with his mental health and physical health. I think he would agree with you that if he looked back on the type of coach that he was over the past 6 years before this one, he would say, yeah, I wasn't running the tightest ship that I could have. I was letting way too many things slide, just go under the rug and not care about things that I should have cared about. And now I think Penny would say, like, yeah, that was a different Penny. I now have firm standards for this roster, for my staff, for everybody who touched Memphis Tigers basketball. I now have a clear culture that starts with me.
Yep.
And I'm with you. I think he would agree with you, man, that the culture, you could say, just straight up wasn't there, because he wasn't setting the tone, setting the culture from his position as head coach. I wanted to say this just earlier, that I love how well the players have bought into this culture, to this Penny Hardaway, that after you saw, I think it was, oh crap, I'm forgetting. I should have wrote in my game notes, but there's a big play in the game sometime in the second half, and you see you see Musa run to Dane and give him a big hug, and they're just smiling.
It was after the lob, wasn't it?
Was it after the lob? That makes sense. Yeah, that's what I was. Okay, yeah, after that lob, and man, if that doesn't make you smile, then you don't have a heart, man.
Did you see any of that last year? Like,
no,
None of
No, you didn't see any of that. These dudes, they'll hit a big three, and no one will do nothing. No one will react. No one will care. No, this team, they genuinely care about each other. And even there was a moment too. Dane was at the line. Baraka went up to Dane, and Baraka was clearly talking to Dane about something, whether it's a defensive coverage, whatever. And you can see Dane like, I got you, like 100%. I'm with you. I'm listening to what you're saying to me, and I'm going to incorporate what you're saying to me. I may be Dane Danger, the best, maybe second best player on this team, but I'm going to listen to Baraka Okoji because he knows his stuff on the defensive side. You know, like those are the little things that show to me that this team is really together. They've really gelled. They really care about each other, and that can only mean good things come NCAA tournament time. That's all it can mean. So I want to ask you this, Gabe. What does success look like for you in the NCAA tournament? Obviously, winning a title would be fantastic. What does it look like to you?
I just want them to win a game in the tournament. That's what I want. Get to game 2. But you know what? I'm gonna piggyback on Penny Hardaway. He said second weekend. Yep. I can't have I feel like fans and media, you can't have lesser expectations than the coach, can you? If he's telling you, hey, second weekend's a success, anything less than that we feel like it's a relative failure, I'm going to take him at his word. So let's say second weekend for the first time since 2009. I would like to see that. You know, it's been so dang long, and I feel like this team really has the ability to go make something like that happen as opposed to years past under Penny Hardaway. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see, man.
And by the way, who they playing tomorrow? What do we think about that? Who would you rather play?
If Tyrese Hunter's out, I don't want to touch North Texas with their ball pressure and just their defensive intensity. They're going to hound our guards. They're going to force a lot of turnovers. I don't want to touch North Texas. I think Dane could eat against North Texas. I really think he could. I mean, he can eat against UAB. He can eat against anybody. But North Texas, their defense scares me, so I'd much rather face UAB. What about you?
And you've shown you can do it against UAB twice. I will say North Texas just bothers me because they can control pace no matter what. Yeah. Slow, nasty, deliberate, and that's not how the Tigers want to play. Now, if the Tigers are able to get to their speed and they're playing North Texas and they're able to control pace, they'll beat the hell out of North Texas because that's how that works. But North Texas usually controls pace. I will say one thing about UAB is I want to see that just for the fireworks, man. Third Yoxel Lindeborg.
Yes.
Dane Danger matchup after Yoxel just dropped 30. Did y'all see their stat line, by the way, against ECU? 30 points, 20 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 steals, and 0 turnovers in that game. Yoxel is locked in the AAC tournament. So that would just it would be fun. And honestly, you know, when it comes to if they lose, you know, who do I feel more worried about? I think both teams give their you know, particular challenges, and I don't know how much a win or a loss is going to matter that much. I bet a loss will matter to the committee somehow, but a win won't matter at all.
They lose, they put them at the 9 seed, and everyone freaks out. They're like, it's because they lost that game. No, right. I'm with you. I don't think that whatever happens tomorrow will have that much of an impact. I agree. From what I've seen from the NCAA committee before, they've put out statements about this before, and from what I've read, they have contingency brackets depending on what happens on Sunday. So they try and prepare for every possible scenario. So they have contingency brackets, but seeding's basically decided today. It's basically decided. And so whatever happens tomorrow, they say they have something in plan and it's something in place to put out at the last second. But yeah, I think it's pretty much set in stone what Memphis is going to be seeded come tomorrow afternoon. And we'll just see. We'll see what happens. And yeah, round 3, UAB Memphis would be cinema, just pure cinematic masterpiece. Dane against Yoxel. If coming after the game that Yoxel had, and if Memphis plays the UAB and Dane goes off and owns Yoxel again, I would love for him to stay in some way, shape, or form. I just don't see it. Like,
of course,
I need it just in some capacity. Yeah, in some capacity.
Let him know. Yeah, that's what you need. And I'll say this, you know, Tiger fans are always going to be Tiger fans, and they root on their team as hard as they possibly can. You know who's even bigger Tiger fans than actual Tiger fans right now? Every team on the bubble. This is a bid stealing ass league, isn't it? I mean, we look at it and it's like North Carolina, Indiana, Texas, Dayton, Boise State. Those teams are just praying that Memphis is able to win tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. No question, man. Well, look, Gabe, tomorrow, whatever happens, happens. Whatever seed they get, seed they get, and we'll look ahead and we'll talk about what's going on moving forward. Before I get into my outro, to everybody who's tuning in, there will be no Tigers Live right after the conference championship game. There will be no show. There will be a show tomorrow, but it'll be after Selection Sunday, all of the seeding. It'll be after we know exactly when where Memphis will play, what seed they'll be, what their route to an NCAA championship will be. I don't know the time of when that show will be. Kenny will get back to me. He's obviously very busy right now. He'll let me know, and as soon as that I found out, we'll put it on Twitter and we'll let all of y'all know as well. Schedule it on YouTube so that way you know on here too. But it'll be after Selection Sunday, after seeding's release. So do not come at me on Twitter saying, "Where's the show? What's happening?" Like, it'll be here. It'll happen. I promise. But yeah, Gabe, thank you so much, man, for your time.
Appreciate it, man.
You're the man. Let everyone know where they can find you, bro.
Yes, sir. At G_Kuhn71 on Twitter or X. I like calling it Twitter, to be honest with you. And then Monday through Friday, 9290ESPN.com or 680 AM. I don't think a lot of people know our AM signal, 680 AM. So come holler at me. Love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all go follow Gabe. If you probably already do. Y'all probably already do. If you don't, you got to fix that. Go follow Gabe on socials. Go check out his show. He's the man. To everybody who tuned in to Tigers Live, thank y'all so much. As always, y'all are fantastic. Everybody in the comment section, thank y'all for being active. Everyone on Twitter, make sure to go to YouTube. Just switch over to YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe to Bluff City Media as well. Turn on the notification bell so you get alerted every single time a show comes out for one of the many awesome shows that Bluff City Media puts out, such as Gabe, Christian, and Kenny's On the Bluff podcast. So everybody, subscribe to Bluff City Media. But thank you all. I'm Francis Carlotta. We'll see you all next time. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Tigers Live. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next time.